If you have questions at any time, feel free to put those into the chat box at the bottom. Here's some reminders about our meeting today. It is a link session. We do have several people online today. We want to keep the meeting focused and as brief as possible, so please mute your microphone while others are talking. The mute button is at the top where there's a little microphone underneath the I am or the instant message tab, and you can just mute yourself there. I think most people are muted currently. Please keep your questions related to the material being discussed. If you have specific questions related to your school, we can answer those via email or you can give us a call. Just type those into the chat box and we'll answer them as soon as possible. We have a lot of people managing the chat box, and we are going to record today's meeting, and it will be recorded, and I will send that link out later on this week so you can watch it if you get cut off or you have to leave early. Here are the things we're going to cover in our meeting today. We're going to go through the introductions on who's here representing KCM and KDE. We're going to go over just a brief synopsis of the grant. We're going to talk about the intervention tab that's now in Infinite Campus. We're going to have some good news from KCM. We're also going to go over the MIT handbook. We're going to go over some updates with technology, and then we'll answer any questions, and we'll also provide you with some contact information. You will also need to stay online for the code at the very end of the session today. So who's online today? I just want to remind you, when it comes to questions about implementation or training and support, the program evaluations, those are all KCM questions. We have 3 people here today from KCM. We have Alice Gabbard. Alice, will you say hello, please?
Honey?
Yes,
Hello.
There's Alice. We also have Jennifer online with us.
Hello.
And we also have Pam online from KCM.
Hello.
Today from KDE, we have April Pieper.
Hello.
And myself, Pamela Pickens. And if you have questions about the grant requirements or the grant compliance, budget questions, or any kind of data as far as surveys and DRR, you can direct those questions to me as well. Just some background on the grant. It was provided in 2000, and Alice, I always get this date wrong, so chime in. The first original grant started in 2007. 2006.
Yeah.
And it was set up to provide diagnostic assessments and intervention services and programs to primary students. MITs have to be highly trained with a minimum of 3 years teaching experience. Our expectation is that they're providing small group interventions at least half of the day. We recommend group sizes 1 to 5 students. The programs that are grant approved are Math Recovery and Number Worlds. And when we say Math Recovery, we're also talking about AVMR 1 and AVMR 2. All of this is included in your assurance documents that were signed by your superintendent, your principal, that you sent in by August 1st. So at any time, if you have questions, you can always refer back to that document. And now we're going to give control over to April, who's going to go over the intervention tab for us.
All righty, I'm trying to bring this up for you. Hopefully this is working.
And there'll be a little bit of a delay. All right. It looks like it's coming up, April.
Is it clear, Pam, or do I need to make it larger?
It's clear. We can see it.
Okay, good. All righty. So as many of you are aware, and if not, then this may be the first time you've heard about it, but there's a new intervention tab that's located in Infinite Campus this year. There are many required groups of users, and the Mathematics Achievement Fund is one of those required groups. What I have for you right now that I have pulled up, it's a mock-up of the tab. They're actually making some changes to my training, my staging environment, and I see. so I can't pull that up right now, but what you're seeing is very, very close to exactly what it looks like. And I'm just going to walk you through this as quickly as I can and be responsive to any questions that you have. You can always email me or Pam afterwards or call us and we can help you as well. So, but to get to the tab, you may have to check with your CASIS, your Kentucky Student Information System point of contact in your district in order to be given rights. But it is under the student information. It's under General, under PLP, and you'll find the Intervention tab, and I can help you with that if you can't locate it. But when you open a new intervention plan for a student, this is what you'll see. So I'm just going to walk you through this part today. This top row here where it says status date and status time, that's not anything that you need to be concerned about. That's an automatic feature in IC. It automatically dates the record when you open it. You can override that if you need to, but honestly, you don't really need to. Don't worry about this top line. But start date, this is the date that you begin, that the student is identified and begins intervention services. So it's possible if you've been in school for a week that you may be ready to begin interventions this year on the 24th of August. Now, I'm being a little quick on the draw there. For some of you, it may be closer to the end of the month, but you put the start date. You won't know the end date because you've just gotten the student. There's a reason why this is up here, and I'll tell you in just a second. Student service results, again, this is something you're going to know at the end of the intervention plan. And total hours served is something that you're going to be aware of, again, at the end of the intervention plan. The reason that these three fields are at the top was actually at the request of lots of districts. They didn't want to have to scroll all the way down through all the plans to put in the end of the plan information. They wanted that plan at the top just as a time-saving measure, and we were happy to be able to do that for them. So we'll come back to those fields in just a minute. With MAF, and again, it depends on how your school or your district has this set up, but for most of you, you're probably a Tier 3 intervention. It's possible you're Tier 2, so you're going to make the selection there that makes the most sense for this student. Intervention type, you'll notice number 4 here is MAF, and that's what you are. Intervention content area will obviously be math, so you'll just select that for the intervention content area. Intervention materials, you all are using, and if I'm going too fast, I'm really sorry. We can write this out in an email. It's just when it's specific to one program, it's really easy to find what you need. So intervention material, you all are a vendor program, and you have two options for what you're able to use with students, Math Recovery or Number Worlds. And there's a coding document. You won't need the whole coding document since you don't have to look through all of these. But there is a coding document that gives the code for the different vendor products. You all just happen to be Math Recovery, which is 3310, or Number Worlds, which is 3314. So, sorry, was somebody asking a question? Okay. So if you're using Math Recovery, you're going to put in 3310. Now, it's possible, and if you have individual questions about this, Pamela can help you. It's possible that you're using something else supplemental. I don't get into all of that necessarily, but you may be using some other product, as a supplement. Pam may ask that you go ahead and code that as well, but I'll let her handle that. Intervention staff, you all are certified. Delivery location should be on site. Delivery method would be in person, because most of you are not a computer providing services. Frequency, this may vary a little bit from site to site, but are you meeting with the students daily? Are you meeting with them 2 days a week, 3 to 4 days a week, once a week, which is probably unlikely if you're a Tier 2 or Tier 3 intervention, and I'm certain it's nothing more than that, or nothing less than that. So my guess would be it would be number 1 or number 3, somewhere in there, but let's just say daily. Comments, this is a place where you could keep some progress monitoring notes if you wanted to, but it's really just here for your purposes. If they're doing map testing, you could certainly put in, a map set of scores here. It's hard to type and think at the same time. So you could keep some brief progress monitoring notes. Each text box is limited to 250 characters, and that's why there's 2 of them. So that gets you up to 500 characters. We've had requests for more, but I'm just not sure how chunky it's going to look if we have 4 different sets of text boxes here. So we're considering that. Area of student need. If you look, you'll notice that the reading and writing are kind of grouped together. The math are grouped together. So you have math number sense, math computation, math numeracy readiness, math reasoning. There is geometry. Some of these might get a little above what you need, but probability and statistics, measurement, algebraic thinking. And then there's always other, in case there's something that we didn't think of that you're still working with that student on. But otherwise, you just check off the skill area that the student is working on. The last section down here is parental guardian involvement. And as we speak, one of the reasons I can't get in the sandbox today is that they're actually adding a few check-off things that people have requested. And I'll tell you, there's one being added to this section, but give me just a second and I'll tell you what it is. So if the parent was notified of the intervention plan, well, that's required by law, so I really hope you're checking that off. Whether the parent was included in the planning, sometimes that happens. Sometimes, unfortunately, it can't. The parent's provided with resources to help the student at home. The parent attended intervention meetings, so that is something that we really, really hope. And the box that they're adding down here is parent provided with student scores, which again is required by the law. So I hope that's something that you're able to do, and you can check that box off as well. The last thing here is referred, and it can be referral for many different reasons. It could be a referral for a vision screening if you think the student is having trouble seeing, or a hearing screening if you think they're having trouble hearing. It could be referred to the Frisky Center because you suspect that the student is in need of some of their services. But it could also be a referral for special education testing, and so any of that you can word in the description box there. So that's just the really quick run through. Let's go back to the top, because let's say it's now it's Christmas or it's Thanksgiving break, and this student has just rolled right through our program, has done wonderful, has aced everything, and we're ready to release him from services. So we're going to go with whatever the student service result here is. Successfully exited intervention, exited to another intervention. In other words, this isn't working, so we may need to be trying something different, which in this particular case with MAF probably isn't the case, but they're going to continue in the intervention. You'll use this one mostly at the end of the year if the student still hasn't met the goals. Moved away from the school, which I know happens quite a bit in some of our school buildings. You all will likely not need number 5, graduated but didn't meet goals. But it's possible there could be an other in there, but we're going to go with the fact that the student successfully exited. We were meeting with them daily. Oh, that's the other thing that's being added right here. It's a duration tab. And I didn't spell that right, but I just want you to see where it's going. And it should be there within the week. And it'll say, it's just a drop-down menu, how often do you meet with them daily? Less than 30 minutes, 30 minutes, less than an hour, and you'll just check off the one that's correct for your situation. I forgot to mention that, I'm sorry. So if we meet with them 30 minutes daily, how many hours could we possibly have in 3 months' time? I'm just going to pick a number off the top of my head for the sake of right now and go ahead and put it in there. So at the end of the time with the student, that's when you'll put in those last 3 fields up here at the top. And then you'll hit the Save button. Now, you can't see the Save button on here, again, because I'm not actually in Infinite Campus. But that's just really a brief rundown. And, again, I can put in an email some of these things that I know, like intervention type will be number 4, intervention content area will be number 4. I can help you out with some of those in just a real quick email. Are there any just overall questions? All right. Well, and Pam Muller can tell you how to get a hold of us, email or telephone-wise, if you have any questions or need anything. Just let us know, and we'll help you out.
And we will provide you with some screenshots later on, as well as some step-by-step instructions when you start this. If you don't already have access to Infinite Campus and the students that you'll be serving, you probably want to go on and ask your building principal or maybe your technology person in the building to let them know that you're going to need that. We will start pulling data at the end of October, so we're asking that by October 30th that you have those students identified under the Intervention tab. If you have any questions, just let us know. Thank you, April.
Welcome. Thank you. Do I need to unshare?
No, I think you're fine.
Okay.
Okay, Pam, I'm just going to ask you to forward through the next couple of slides. I think that'll be smoother than giving me control.
Okay.
So this is Alice, and it's my pleasure to share with you a couple of good news slides. We've been able to track some of these students going way back to the beginning of intervention. So the slide that's about to come up is going to show a group of students that started intervention in 2008, and then their beginning score was based on Terra Nova. So what we're seeing there is the percentiles. We had students on average in the 6th percentile compared with a different group that started in the 29th percentile. Then when we look at what happened on the KCCT in 2010, we can see that the intervention students made a huge jump. And then looking at the K-Prep data, they continued to climb, and you can see that that gap is continuing to close. So that is some great news. One more slide then, Pam, if you will advance forward. Looking at the 2006-2007 students, we had on average the 9th percentile to start with compared to the 29th percentile. And then you can see that the intervention students, their gains went up and were steady compared with the non-intervention students whose scores went up and then declined somewhat, as we've seen a lot on the K-Prep. So good job out there. We just have tons of good news, and we're just really proud of the work that you all have done and are going to be doing. So thank you. And now we're going to hear from Pam Reicheldorfer, who is going to tell us about a lot of exciting innovations going on with technology.
Okay, I am the technology person for the KCM, and I'm going to show you, hopefully, some things online of some changes we've implemented this summer. I have some undergraduate students that work for me, and I need to shoot. Sorry, the bar is, there it is. The bar is covering up, there is what, I cannot get, okay, I'm going to do this here, from here. This is the KCM homepage. Are you seeing that?
Yes, Pam, we can see the homepage.
Okay, good. One of the Alice asked me to first of all show you all how you can register for the different professional learning offerings. You can do that via the calendar. So if you come here, click on calendar, you'll get a view of all of our offerings in a calendar kind of set. And if you go through here, different things that you are going to have to enroll in as MITs there are some WebEx meetings that you may have to sign up for. Some of you will be automatically enrolled in them, but others of you, the more experienced people, will have to select yours. You can do that by clicking on the event filter and WebEx meetings. And this is going to show you the WebEx meetings, and they all begin next month. And so here we have one for level 3. if you decided you wanted to participate in Mary Helen's WebEx meeting, you would come here, click on hers, and go down here to, you'll see the registration screen or the calendar screen, and then click on this button, register for this event. And you can do that for any of the training offerings that we have available for outside registration. Some of the changes we've been working on is we have implemented a change to how you sign on to the things that we call secured resources. So if you go under Resources, click on Secured Resources. You get a login screen. If you look at the types of resources that are here, those of you who are ERDI leaders, this is how you'll get to your ERDI page. If you're using Fluency Assessment, you would also select Fluency Assessment here. And if you're involved in the other trainings, the various MARTI trainings or the new K+, you would also access those resource pages from here. So if you selected Fluency Assessment, you would just key in the normal Fluency Assessment username and password. Those have not changed. So you would key those in. And then it will take you to the resource page. So here we have Fluency Assessment. We are in the process of making changes to the Fluency Assessments. So right now, online entry of the assessment information is not available, but you can come to this page and you can print the printable still, and you can print the questions and deliver any Fluency assessments offline using the printed questions. And those look just like they have in the past, so you can use that. If I believe this happened towards the end of last year, we did come out with a new format for our printables. So we have the original format, which tries to crowd everything onto as few pieces of paper as we can. And then we have the binder tablet format, which if you're using if you have an iPad that you're using and you want to use that with with your student as you're giving the assessments, you can actually pull the printables up as a single page. So that allows you to show the student the tablet, and they can see the object that you want to talk about rather than having to print it out. Okay, I'm going to go back to the main page. The next thing I'm going to talk about is, and this is pretty cool, one of our undergraduate students who works here, Jordan Murphy, has been working on coming up with some Pinterest images for us. We are launching a Pinterest page. So if you go to the home page and click on the Pinterest P, you can get to our Pinterest page, and you can see these are some of the a few of the entries that Jordan has come up with. She's designed these nice images for Pinterest. So if I click on the one here for structuring, okay. Oh, why is it? Okay, why are we not moving to Pinterest? Just taking a little bit of time. So you'll go to our structuring page, and you can see all of Jordan's great artwork here. If you click on this picture, and then you click on it again, a lot of clicking, you'll actually get to the CAN-P intervention guide entry that is related to that picture. Now, this doesn't get you into the full intervention guide. It just gets you this one single entry. So this will allow us to share the intervention guide activities with people who have not yet registered, and it will allow them to see some of our entries and get a feel for the content that is available. And then we have here at the bottom that if you would want more, you can click on these links and go to the intervention guide and register and then get complete access. But this is going to be coming out. I'm sure there will be more information available soon about that. We have some other changes with the intervention guide. I think I did away with my one thing, but that's okay. We have, I think Pam mentioned a little, or was mentioned a little bit ago about involving families in your intervention. Well, we're coming up with something called a family activity. Now, these aren't available on many of the entries yet, but there are a few of them. And in this case, on the actual, within the intervention guide, on the activity page, if a family activity is available, you will see this icon. And if you click on that, it'll take you to the family page. And you can then use this link and send it home in an email with the child so that the parent can access this page and come in and have this activity available for them to work with the student at home. They have access to the printables that you would normally have access to, and also the student instructions are available here. And some explanation about what the activity is and how they're supposed to work with the student to do this fun activity. So the intention is not every activity within the intervention guide will have one of these, but we are putting things out here again so that you can share them with families and get them involved in some of the interventions. Another way to, since there are so few of these available at this time, another way to access this is, through the intervention guide index. So if you click on this link, you haven't seen this, it will come up with a list of all the intervention guide activities. So all of the activities are available through this table. And the easy way to find a family activity is look in the column labeled family activity and just scroll down until you find an entry. And as you can see, there aren't many out there, but here's the Go Fish one. And if you click on Go Fish, it will take you to the family activity. And again, this is bookmarkable. You can send it home with the student. It will not require them to log in to the intervention guide like you do. All we're going to ask is that the parent put in an email address so we can kind of track who is looking at these things and what they're using them, so who's using them and everything, but they will not have a username and password. It's just ask for their email. The last thing I want to talk about is something that's under development right now, and this will affect all of you. All of the materials that you have to submit, the videos, the test data, the DOR information that you send in various ways to Jennifer, we are developing a system which will allow you to provide that information online. So you'll be able to go in and key in the DOR information on the student and update it as it changes throughout the year. You'll be able to upload your test data. You'll be able to upload your consent forms. It will track all of these things for you, so we don't have this email issue that we have a lot of times. It will give you one place, where both the KCM and you as the MIT can go and look to see what the status of your assigned tasks are, and we'll both be able to see the same information. So if you've submitted something and then we send you out an email saying that you're late with it, and you have to come back to us and say, no, but I already sent that in, and then we have to track down where the email is that we hadn't processed yet, well, we won't have to do that anymore because the system will keep track of the status. It will allow you to do the uploads. It will allow you to do the entry. And this, we expect to have this out in October. And the system was, I have 3 undergraduate students that are working on this, developing this right now, and they have selected the name of Abacus. So you'll be hearing more about Abacus come October. We will have training materials, and I hope that it's something that's easy to use and helps everybody. It reduces our administrative work and makes things easier for you in terms of your submissions. So that's what I have in terms of the technology changes that the KCM is implementing. So I'm going to go back to the meeting and stop presenting, and somebody else, Jennifer, is going to take control.
Alice is going to
Alice is going to take control, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Pam. It is really so exciting, all these things that you and your students are putting together. So thank you for all your hard work on that. So my task is to share with you the handbook, which is available online. There's going to be a couple of tweaks to the current version that's there. So let's see, I'm going to go to stop sharing here, I believe. And then I'm going to share my desktop. Okay, so I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. I'm just going to mention a few of the items. There in the table of contents there, we have hyperlinks to the different sections, so you can kind of see how it's organized. We've got contacts there. I want to just jump to the MIT responsibilities. You'll see when we get into the data collection, we have reduced the amount of data that you're going to be submitting. You'll be submitting no videos, which I know some of you will probably be doing backflips. So the main things that are new here, the third item that's highlighted is that you and your principal should attend a day-long meeting. It's about a 5-hour meeting in September. And the choices we have laid out for right now are September 10th, 11th, and 12th. And the registration links are available if you go back to that KCM calendar where Pam showed you and go to September 10th or 11th or 12th. You can go right in there and register yourself and your principal for one of those. If for some reason one of those doesn't work for you, we'll look at maybe setting up another option in October. But we feel like it's really important to get the principals on board. A lot of people have new principals, and we just want to really make sure that they understand how valuable you are and how the program works and how it can really have school-wide impact. The other thing that's kind of new here is that you're going to collaborate with administrators in the student identification process, and we're asking that you work with that administrator to carefully document student numeracy progress and needs. This means that you are not to take students where somebody just gives you a list of test scores and that's your group. This has to be looking more carefully at what students actually need. Let's see, so Scotty, yeah, both, we would like the principal and the MIT to be registered, but I believe you could probably do both as long as you put in the principal's email, and then the principal would get a confirmation if you register that person as well. You will be getting at least 2 visits from regional coordinators this year, so we're excited about that, ramping up the support. They always have lots of great ideas and lots of good things to share, and so they will be stopping in. Yeah, Jean, right, about the identification process. So one of the reasons that we want to meet with the principals in person is to make sure that that is communicated. Maybe you and I can talk after this, and you can tell me more about exactly what would be helpful for us to communicate before that meeting. If there's an urgency to do that, then why don't you call me maybe after the meeting, and we can definitely get that out. Oh, okay, September, good. Yeah, we will be sure to stress that. Okay, so as a level 1 MIT, these are new MITs, or people that are coming back that maybe haven't had all of the intensive training. You are being automatically registered for your weekly online meeting because you'll be meeting with your cohort and your leader. Level 2 MITs. Oh, 2+. Okay, so you're a level 2 MIT if you have completed a full year, and you're a level 3 MIT if you've completed 2 full years and you're starting your 3rd year. We now have some people in this meeting that are level 9 MITs. Wow. And that is the top of, that's our pioneer group that got us started all those years ago. All right, so one thing that if you're an experienced MIT, we're asking you to choose 4 PD units as outlined here. So this is the same as it was last year. New MITs are already getting lots of intensive training, so they don't have to worry about doing these other things that would be optional for them. The WebEx meetings, we are asking that you register. The only people that will be registered automatically are the early leaders because they'll meet monthly with Meredith. And the level 1 MITs, of course, are already registered. So if you are level 2 or above, you're not an early leader, then you will need to go in and pick which monthly online meeting you would like to attend. And Pam showed you that also through the calendar that you can get there.
Alice?
Yes.
The level 2 MITs are also being registered by us in Linda Jewell's group.
Oh, that's right. Yes, thank you. I did put that in writing here, too. Yeah, so level 2 MITs, we want to give you a little bit of extra special attention, so you will all be in the same online meeting as well. Thank you for clarifying that, Pam. All right, so MIT Community Service. This was something we started doing years ago where MITs really wanted to and needed to learn from each other. So here are some options that you can choose. And some of these, if you choose it, it's actually the same thing you're already doing with the PD activity. So hopefully it's not going to be a burden. If you would like to be on the program advisory team, I could really use some monthly discussion from MITs, and Pam Pickens joins us as well just to find out what your perspective is and what kinds of things we can do to improve our service. So there will be a place to register online for that. So these requirements are for level 2+. What I'm talking about now with the PD units, that's for anybody who has completed a full year. So if you're a level 2, then you would still need to do these requirements. And also if you're a level 3 or up.
Alice, could you also show on the handbook where all of the data submission items are listed under the MIT requirements?
Yeah, I am getting to that. So one thing that's specified in the assurance is that you need to administer and submit student assessments, and then you also have to complete teacher assessments. And so we have a whole section in this handbook that is about the program evaluation and what data to submit, so I will get down to that in just a minute. Oh, so Regina's asking about if you're becoming a fluency development leader, that would count for 3. Let's see, let me think. You'll have 3 full days with that, so that would definitely be 3 PD units. Okay, wanted to mention the administrator's responsibilities. We know principals have signed off on the assurance. Some may or may not have really, it might not have registered what is on this list. So we will be pointing this out during the in-person meeting. So one thing there is that they are required to attend the in-person meeting. That's the first thing highlighted. They also will have to collaborate with the MIT in the identification of struggling students. So again, we're asking that you be part of that process in deciding which students need intervention, and also asking them to consult with you to carefully review diagnostic evidence, I see we have a typo there, of student progress and need when making decisions about student placement and exit from supplemental math intervention. So we're just trying to support you there and make sure that you have a voice in that decision, because we know that you have the expertise, and that's really important. Sean, I will show you in a minute where these links can be found. Section 5, there are lots of questions and answers that have been provided, answers provided by the KDE. So I will let you look over that later. We don't have any big changes in that right away. Okay, so program evaluation. So we have, this is kind of an old section here, fidelity of implementation. That was around the question of whether or not people had to follow every lesson in number worlds in the order that it was presented. Okay, so let's see. Tamara is asking, oh good, thanks. Jennifer gave you the link for where all of the MAF resources will be found, and we're going to look at that in just a second. And then Tamara has asked, let's see, let me get to them. Elizabeth, yeah, so your question is, that's really up to you. We didn't want to mandate extra work for MITs. We just wanted to give you some power to be able to advise that process. So if you have a discussion, that would be up to you how you would like to document that. Student data reporting, so again, schools will be able to choose between submitting school data or Terra Nova. Jennifer has a new data permission form, and she'll go over all this with the timeline more carefully. Some other things that you'll find on the MIT timeline are that the MIT will complete and submit all these surveys and assessment data. The thing that you'll do right away, I'll let Jen talk to you about the timing of all of this. So that's all of that. Okay, fluency assessments. This year we're asking you to pick 3. So it's up to you which of the assessment series you would like to do. This is not for the brand new MITs unless they want to do it. Brand new MITs, we feel like you're just trying to figure out the diagnostic assessments and that whole new way of thinking and teaching, so we're not asking you to do fluency assessments. So if you are an experienced MIT, you'll pick 3, and you will give at least each of those 3 series to 1 student. Then if the student leaves, then you would just pick an additional student to do that many more with. So if you have a student, you're doing FA 10, and you've done it for 6 weeks and they move away, then you just have to do tests 1, 2, and 3 with another student for the FA10, and then you will have given it 9 times. You could also have the option of just inserting a different student if you've been using the same series with a continuing student, then that could be in place of the other. The fraction fluency assessments are not quite up. Give us a couple weeks on those, and those are coming as well. All right, so just more from the past as far as this student placement is pretty much about the number worlds placement. It's about number worlds and math recovery. Okay, so let me go ahead and mention, and we'll look at the web page in just a second also, that your funding is guaranteed through June of 2015. Guaranteed as much as any funding is. It's pretty for sure. And then, oh, Rachel, no, fluency assessments do not have to be videotaped. That is your choice. Samantha is asking, no longer need to administer all the fluency assessment. That's correct. So as long as you do 3 different types, then you're set. So you could do one student FA10, you could do a different student FM 100, and then another one would be maybe FA5. That's it. Jean, yes, 3 series. You could do more if you wish, but that's okay, good. All right, so your funding through June 30th. So starting July 1st, the KDE is going to select 100 schools to start receiving math achievement funds. So that means everybody is going to have to reapply. This form is also on the MAF webpage. They are allowing you to select from 5 different programs: Advantage MR, Assessing Math Concepts by Kathy Richardson, Do the Math by Marilyn Burns, Math Recovery, and SRA Number Worlds. I am compiling information about each of those programs, and I'll show you that in just a second. So they're looking at giving $41,000 to about 100 schools. So that money could go to current schools, it could go to new schools instead. The main thing I want you to be aware of is the technical assistance, which is right here. So they are bringing in a grant writer to help people write quality grants. So you are encouraged to, or whoever is writing your grant, to attend one of these technical assistance sessions. Pam Pickens will be there, as well as the grant writer that is leading the program. If you do intend to apply, they're asking that you email them by September 26th, and then the application deadline is October 9th. So here is the MAF webpage. So if I go to resources and I go down to MAF, then what you see here is we have this announcement for today, and we'll put up different announcements as needed. Now this next section is the new MAF grant. So what I just showed you is linked right here. You can sign up for updates if you would like me to keep you apprised of what new information we're getting about different programs or reminders. It's also a place where you can put in questions if you'd like us to look at getting specific information. So that's there. And we also have some evolving program information that's already posted I'll open that in a second. And then I marked down the 2 math conferences because the new grant requires you to attend 1 Kentucky math conference per year. And these are the only 2 that I know of that you would choose from. And the amounts there are given so that that can be incorporated into the budget however you choose to do that. So this evolving program information, it was taken from a spreadsheet, but I've got it in PDF form, so it's printable. And note that this first row, Advantage MR, it gives you some information. When I go to the next page, you'll see that it has more information. So instead of having a big spreadsheet where you have to look across all these different columns, this will give you in 4 pages the contents of all of those columns for that particular program. Then as you go to page 5, that starts Do the Math and Math Recovery Intervention Specialist. And then, so that goes on for 4 pages, and then it gets to SRA number worlds. Okay. So let me check in on the questions here. Okay, so I think we're in good shape. So we need Jennifer Martinez to go ahead and talk to us about the timeline and other data specifics.
Yes, let me go ahead and get the desktop to present. So first I wanted to reiterate where all of this information can be found. If you go to your browser and type in www.kymath.org, that's the KCM website. And let me see, make sure you're able to see my desktop. All right. Alice, has that loaded yet?
Yes, it's on there.
Okay. If you go to kymath.org and go to Resources, MAF Resources, this is where you're going to find the wealth of information. Any updates that we have or anything new coming out, we always post to this page. The document that Alice was just in is the MIT Handbook. If you scroll down, it's listed under KCM Documents, so you can pull that up and share with administrators. The next document that I wanted to go over with everyone was the MIT Timeline. Alice and I had created this to kind of keep everybody in the loop of different deadlines that are coming up and different dates, and I'll be adding to this as time goes on as well. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. This is the start of the MIT timeline. As you can see, already some of the surveys are open. What I'll do is I'll send you links for the Math Beliefs and Attitudes survey and the Learning Mathematics for Teaching. Each of these will probably take you 15 minutes, and I'll send the links to you by Friday. Then that'll be actually to your school email address. If you are a new MIT and still have not been set up with an email address, please feel free to give me a phone call. My phone number is 859-572-7676, or you can call the KCM and we'll go ahead and get it to a different email address if that's what you're using right now. But basically, if you go through this, we've set it out by dates so that everyone can keep track of items that are due. A couple of things that I wanted to start with were the different consent forms and permission slips. If you go back to the MAF resources page, there are links to all the consents in one section, consents and permission forms. We have 3 different ones this year, which is very nice because if you were here last year, we had more. So I wanted to start with the parental consent. This is the consent form that you're going to want to go ahead and send home with all of your intervention students. It has been condensed. Now it is actually a one-page document, and it has 2 sections on it. The first section relates to data sharing, and that is basically the parent is giving permission for their child's information such as hours of instruction, grade level, test scores, for that to be shared with the KCM for program evaluation and research purposes. They have the option to sign it or not to sign it. Also, the bottom section is in regards to, it's basically the media consent that we had before, and that is just whether or not the parent is willing to share the child's photographs or videotapings or even digital or written work with people at the KCM for the program evaluation. So if they do agree to both of those, both of them would need to be signed. Also, there is a section down at the bottom left-hand corner. It says for teacher use only. That is where you're going to want to put in the student ID and your school name. The reason for that is we get them in and it might say, you know, John Hancock is the child, but we don't know which student that is. That's going to be kept, it's in a secure location, and I'm the only one who will have access to see it, but that'll link the student to the actual ID so that we can make sure if anyone ever asks at a later date whether or not we really did receive permission for it, we can link it back. So it's just that one form. I know that last year we had the fluency assessment interview consent. Now we don't have any of that. So this is just the one form that you're going to need for anything involving student data or videotaping. The next form I want to show you is the school-wide assessment data permission. Alice had showed in the MIT handbook that basically schools have either the option to submit school-wide assessment data or to administer the Terra Nova. And if you are going to submit school-wide assessment data, you will need to have your principal or superintendent fill out the school-wide assessment data permission. Basically, this just states that you are or your school is sharing the school-wide information with the KCM, and that it's basically an agreement for the next 5 years or until you're no longer involved in KCM programs. And after the 5 years, we would send a letter to the principal or the superintendent letting them know that they do have the option to opt out. But at this time, we do need this from all MAF schools. If you are going to submit student assessment data, that is school-wide. If you are not going to do that, you will need to do Terra Nova testing and need to let me know how many booklets you'll need for each of the students that you'll be working with. If your superintendent fills it out and you are with one of the districts that has multiple schools in the MAF program, your superintendent can also give access to different schools in the district using this. And lastly, I wanted to go through the participant consent. This is basically a statement that all of the teachers and MITs involved in KCM programs will need to submit. And it basically just gives access stating that if you fill out a survey that we're able to use it for our program evaluation, or if you submit a video lesson that we're able to use that and share it later. It does have 3 sections. The first is regarding whether or not you're giving us permission for your coursework, personal reflection, surveys, or assessments to be used in the research and evaluation of the KCM professional learning experiences. The second section is in regards to whether or not you're allowing the KCM to use video or photos of yourself in professional presentations, newsletter publications, etc. And then the third section is regarding your unique teacher ID. I know experienced MITs have always used a unique ID. This ID is a little bit different because we have added 1 extra character. So you'll want to go ahead and fill that out and send it in. Everyone's going to have to do this. So all 3 of those items will need to be submitted this year. And again, those are found on the resources page under consents and permission forms. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about was the DOR. For new MITs, it's basically a record that lists all of the intervention students that you are currently working with and information regarding them. This year, it is going to be on the new website, which Pam had mentioned earlier, which is called Abacus. Now, since that website is not rolling out until October 1st, you will need to keep track somewhere of who you're working with and when you started working with them. You have a couple of options. The first one is you can always go back to the old DOR form, which is experienced MITs know about this. This is the actual web page, or I'm sorry, Excel spreadsheet. Let me pull it up. And where you just list, the only thing that you would really need to know for now is the student ID, when you started working with them, and any test dates. There's also another option that you could use on the MAF resources page. Brandy LeMaster had actually created a math intervention folder data sheet template, and basically that is just information regarding students you're working with. I went ahead and pulled that up. You could keep that for every student. Or another option you could have to keep information is just keep a list of who you're working with, when you started working with them, and any testing dates. For example, if you administered MAP, or if your school is doing Discovery Ed, when that child had received or taken that test. I think those are the three things that I wanted to talk about. Did anyone have any questions? Let's see. All right, I've got a couple of them. Becky, I think the first question is, if you use MAP, the data should be for all grades that are in the school that you're working for. Amanda, the actual forms will be either submitted on Abacus. Any of the permission slips, they'll be uploaded to Abacus, that website that's opening on October 1st. Also, you can either email them in, for example, your agreement form or the school-wide permission form. You can either email it in or fax it in to us. That would be fine. Or you can wait until Abacus opens up and submit it that way. Sandra, if we already sent home the parent consent form last year and have them sign and return, they'd be amnesty. Sandra, I would go ahead and get a new student ID, or I'm sorry, a new consent form, because this is the consent that's been approved through our IRB for this school year. So any students that you're working with this school year, go ahead and send this new one home. Does a participant get teachers whose students are being serviced? No. Samantha, the participant consent form, that's just for teachers who are actually in KCM professional learning experience programs. Ricky, the MIT ID, it's actually generated by you. It's pretty much the same thing as it was before. First three of your mother's maiden name, date of birth, and then it's the first letter of your given name. It just has one extra character because we had a couple instances where people had very similar information. Lynn, I might need to call you on that one. And Becky, with the Terra Nova, you'll just be submitting that to, or administering it to just intervention students. Oh my goodness, let's see. Stan, I've already sent in forms through fax. How would I know it's been received? Well, Stan, that's one of the things where if it's uploaded to Abacus, it's something that you can check on. I don't think I've seen anything that's come through, but I'd have to double check for you. Nikki, yes, the ERD teachers will need to sign the participant consent, and I believe Meredith's going to send that out. Let's see. Alice, do we still give Terra Nova before we can? The Terra Nova, if you are going to give the Terra Nova, you want to give it within the first 2 weeks of starting intervention with that student. And so if you want to send, you can always use MIT data at nku.edu to send your book orders. When Abacus actually opens up, it'll also have a request form on there as to Terra Nova booklets if you need them mid-year. All right, Paula wants to call about STAR as well. Yes. Samantha, the student consent forms will need to be submitted, but they'll be uploaded to Abacus once it opens on October 1st. Cindy, if you assess 2nd through 5th, I know that Madison County Schools, they're thinking about not doing math testing with 1st grade. What you'll either need to do is, what you'll need to do is test 1st grade with Terra Nova and then submit the school-wide student data for 2nd through 5th grade for the MAP. So you'll administer Terra Nova to the 1st grade students that you're servicing in intervention and then submit school-wide MAP data for the rest of the school, and that'll be via Abacus as well. Christy, with the STAR math data, we'll have to figure out something to do because the way we have Abacus set up is that it'll submit or be able to accept MAP data as well as Discovery Ed data, and we need to figure out a little bit more about how STAR data is reported, because with the MAP data and with the Discovery Ed data, we were actually able to go to MIT schools and look at how that data is reported so that it could be easily submitted through the system. Anybody who is using STAR can, by all means, email me and let me know, and invite Pam Reichelderfer and I out there so that we can see how that information is reported, so that we can get the system set up to be able to accept STAR data. All right. If anyone else has any questions, otherwise I'm going to turn it back over to Alice. But you can always email me or call me. All right. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to Alice, and I'll answer the questions through the messages.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Jen. I know that takes a lot of work getting all that organized, but it's looking good. So, Lynn, switching to Terra Nova, I guess, would you mind emailing Jen? It seems like that by this point in the year, it seems like you would still have that choice. All right, so Pam Pickens, you're going to bring up the PowerPoint here. Okay, so I know we've given you a lot of information, and especially if you're new to the program, you're probably somewhat overwhelmed. So we're just letting you know there's really only 2 things you need to be sure that you do right away. That is, register for WebEx if you are level 3 or above. Otherwise, you will be registered automatically. If you are level 1, just starting your training, that meeting date and time may not be set yet, so your course leader will let us know about whatever works best for you and your group. And then the registration for the principal MIT meeting, you'll go to the KCM calendar and pick the 10th, 11th, or 12th. In addition to that, Jennifer Martinez is going to send you the link for 2 measures that you need to do by August 25th, I believe. So you'll just be asked to do the math beliefs and attitudes and the LMT. And those of you who remember taking the LMT in the past, this is going to be a much shorter version. So we expect that would take about 20 minutes. All right, Pam, you want to advance us there? Thanks. All right, so most of you have had AVMR1. Just want to let you know it's important for you to get the updates. I believe that there was a session at the conference last year with some of the updates, but you're also going to be getting a notice of ways you can sign up to get the free update experience, either through standalone update days or through, there's a couple of collegial team meetings that will offer that. So just wanted to put that on your radar. Okay, Pam, let's see what's next here. Also, in the assurance, it says that the principal will provide a book for the MIT to use during their group study. So each level 3 and up WebEx group is going to pick a book that will be the focus of their meetings for the year. So there's a few real popular books going around right now, but we thought it'd be better to let the groups decide what they're most interested in. All right, so Pam,
And
take it over.
I have put on the screen now contact information here at KDE. If you have any general grant questions or budget questions, you can send those directly to me. If you have something specific to budget questions as far as munis codes and things like that, then it's Kristen Burton, and her email is on there. And then for KCM, we have Alice's email there for program implementation questions. If you have data questions, those would be directed to Jennifer, and any kind of technical support would be directed to Pam at KCM. So I'll leave those up for just a few seconds. And continue to post your questions in the chat box, too, and we can answer those as we go in towards the end of the meeting.
So answer for Beth. Beth, I believe you may have done an AVMR2 update last summer. The AVMR1, I don't think any of those updates were available before like last September. So I may need to do some more checking with you to find out which one you already did. I'll take a look at that.
Okay, if you have any questions at this time, if you'll just post those into the chat box and we'll answer those. Also, while we're waiting, you'll be required to send in a code to say that you participated today or that you've watched the recorded meeting. The code this year will just be MAF Rocks 2014. Along with that code that you'll send in with me, to me, you'll have to send in some information as well, and I'm going to put that on the screen. When you have the confirmation code, you need to just email that directly to me, and in that email I need to have the confirmation code, which is Math Rocks 2014. Please put your MIT name on there, your school name, and your principal name. We're still updating some email lists, and I had 2 updates today, so we want to make sure that we get everybody correctly identified so they're receiving updates as well. Also include in there your principal's brief written plan for opportunities for the MIT to share their knowledge with the staff on numeracy. Also include the district name and any kind of contacts that you have in your district for grants or budgets that might also want to be put on the email list. Sometimes it's typically the finance director, just so they know that when the budget is approved, they're getting the information about that. And also include your superintendent. Some of you have had new superintendents hired this summer, so if you'll include that as well, I'd really appreciate it. And again, the confirmation code is Math Rocks 2014.
Thanks, everybody. It's going to be a great year. Keep in touch and let us know how we can help you.
And we will also send out a link to the recorded session later on this week. Hopefully by tomorrow you'll get a link. Every MIT will receive a link to the recorded meeting from today in case you want to go back and reference things that were discussed. If you have any questions, just continue to post those into the chat box, or you can email those directly to us. Thank you for being here today. For principals, if you would like to go ahead and send that information to me from you, that would be fine as well to confirm that you participated.
The school will provide the book, so it would come from the MAF.
And if you don't have any questions, you can go ahead and exit. The technical assistance sessions are held this month.
Rick, there's a place on my sign-up sheet for the grant where you can tell me who all's involved in writing your grant. So I'm thinking that's the only place where we might want to know the name of your grant writer, so I can put them on the distribution list. Technical assistants are this month.
Starting next Monday in Frankfurt.
Pam, I'm thinking we'll put on our MAF page also this list so people will have it handy. I know you'll probably email it as well, but we'll keep it up there as one of the announcements. So that'll be another go-to spot for people.
That'd be great.
Tony, if your district does not have a grant writer, that's probably the case for a lot of districts, and I think that what they do is they just have other people write it. There have been schools that have been successful with a grant where a teacher and maybe an administrator worked together and wrote a grant. So that's certainly an option. Paula, as far back as the grant, I think that's kind of open-ended. When you go through and read the questions, you'll just want to do the best job you can of showing, I guess the data is mainly about where is your need. So that's pretty much your call. Stacy, the grant is just for each school, so each school would submit a different application. Leslie, yeah, that would probably be a good idea. Anybody who's willing to give it a go to write the grant should probably go and listen to that grant writer.
And you'll want to check the locations because some of the locations are across the state. So we have one in eastern Kentucky, one in south central Kentucky, as well as in Frankfurt here, and then we have one in western Kentucky. So it probably just depends on where you're located at, which one is the best for you to attend. Monday is here in Frankfurt. Tuesday is in Prestonsburg at Jenny Wiley State Park. Wednesday is in Barren River State Park, which is outside of Bowling Green. And then on Thursday of next week, it's at Lake Barkley in Cadiz, Kentucky.
Linda, those dates and places are listed on the application form. So if you go to our resource page for MAF, and then you just go to open the application, that's where it has different dates listed. Okay, let's see. We didn't have a slide for that, but I can open up the, let's see, Pam, do you want to share the application do you have it handy?
Sure, just a second. Let me get it opened up on my computer. Let me say, stop sharing. And I'll pull those dates up for everyone if everyone will just hold tight until I can get it up. All right, you should see it coming open right now, and I'll slide down to the dates. It's a little slow, or I got too fast for it. Let me open it in Word. It'll be easier to manipulate that way. And you'll want to pay close attention to the times for that date are those local times. So here in Frankfort and in Prestonsburg, it's 10 to 4, which is Eastern time. And then when we move into the western part of the state, it switches to Central time, which starts at 9. And you do not have to register for the technical assistance. You can, if you would like to, you can just you can send an email to kderfp@education.ky.gov to let them know you're coming, but you're not required to register. Is there any other questions for today? If not, I think we're going to go ahead and close the meeting. Again, if you have any questions, you can email any of us at any time, and we'll get back to you. Thank you for attending today.